بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask him send peace and blessings on his beloved and our beloved Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We in the chapter of where are the souls, and after people pass away. If you're listening, maybe come here. It's a bit, my neck keeps, I have to, Jazakallah khair. If you're going to listen, then it'll be easier. Jazakallah khair. Appreciate it. So where are the souls after a person passes? Where's the soul of the person when they pass away? So we learned previously that the souls of the shuhada is in Jannah, and many hadiths are there of the Prophet ﷺ, that the souls of the shuhada, the martyrs, they're in Jannah. In the soul, they put in their bodies of green birds and they fly. And those who gave up their life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala become shaheed, martyrs for the sake of Allah. And obviously, Anbiya alayhim salam are better than shuhada. Even if you just use logic, that it's they're given a life that is better than the shuhada. Then what about the rest of the people? So there's a big discussion on this, and there's a lot of agreements and disagreements, and there's subtleties and finer points. At the end of the day, what we expected to believe and what is been taught to us, that everybody agrees on, there is azab al-qabr, there is reward in the qabr, and it's a prelude to what is come. There's a reward and punishment that is coming in the qabr, happening to the soul of the person, the body of the person, that is a prelude of what is to come in the hereafter. And so I started a few of these ones, but I'll wrap it up today, inshallah. And then I'll put Ibn Qayyim, he summarized it into a paragraph basically, Rahimahulla. He wrote a whole book on the ruh, on the soul, as explained last week. So the one view is that the souls are at their graves. The souls, after the person is buried, the souls are at their grave. And one group of ulama, that the souls are in the earth at their graves. Then the question will come, then what about the hadith about that the soul is taken up to the heavens? And this is one of the arguments for it, that the person is sent back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends back. One of the brothers asked this last week. The souls are in the Barzakh, in the earth. Barzakh is a stage between this world and the next, that a person has moved on from this world, and it's an intermediary, a place in the middle, and it's sort of connected to this world, but it's also not, it's beyond this realm. It's sort of connected to this world, put it this way. And there's many narrations. So one of the narrations, that the souls are in the earth, that Bara bin Azib radiallahu anhu, and this was mentioned before in this series, is that when the soul, after passing away, goes up to the arsh, and he's been written amongst the book in the Illiyin, right? Now, Illiyin is a place in Jannah or the seventh sky, or just a lofty place, right? So his name is written in the Illiyin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to him, return my slave to his resting place. Where? In the grave. Return my slave to his resting place, because I have promised that I have created him from it, and that I will return him to it, and from it I will resurrect him. And this is as per the ayat al-Quran in Surah Taha, minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum minha nukhrijukum taratan ukhra, which is, you should say that when we're burying these three sentences, we say when we're dropping the soil, when you go to a funeral and we bury, we say these three, this verse, but break it up into three. We take one handful of soil, we read the first part, second part, third part. So Allah subhanahu, in accordance with the ayat, right, the hadith actually matches with the ayat, obviously, the same wording is there, that I created him from it, and he will return from it, and then I will resurrect him from it a third time, in the day of judgment. So that means till the person, after he passes away, this lifting is there, but then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends him back to his grave to wait out his time till the day of judgment, till his resurrection. The other view is that there's another view which is not a very strong view, and the ulama have critiqued and criticized the chain of narration, and they said that one group of ulama, they have this view, there's a group among the people who says in the earth, is not just in the earth, in the grave, it's a specific spot, and I mentioned this last week, that the spot of the believers all gathered in Sham, right? And I explained the place in Sham that the souls are gathered, or and the ones of the kuffar and so forth, mushrikeen and so forth, they gathered in Barhut. Barhut is a place, a well that is in Yemen. But this narration, the ulama have critiqued and said this is not a very strong, these are not strong narrations, reliable enough. The other view is that, sorry, I forgot my book at home, so I'm going off the PDF, so it's trying to find the spots. That the souls are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this, there's a narration that established that the souls are arwah in Allah azza wa jal. The souls are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this narration was mentioned before, that the souls are, they are with Ar-Rahman, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they waiting for their appointment until the trumpet is blown, so that they may be resurrected. However, this isnad, this chain is considered weak, and it doesn't negate what was already has been narrated. There is a view among some of the ulama, as per the hadith in Bukhari, Muslim, in Sahih hadith, but this is explained by other ulama who hold the other view, that the souls are at the grave. That the hadith is that it's a hadith of Mi'raj, Isra al-Mi'raj, the night journey, the ascension. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, part of that is a long hadith, but the part that matters, when I was raised, lifted up to the heavens, the Mi'raj of the Mi'raj of this dunya, Sama al-Dunya, and I saw a man sitting with a group of people on his right, and there was a group of people to his right and a group to his left. When he looked at his right, he smiled or he laughed. When he looked at his left, he cried. And he said, Marhaban min Nabi Salih wal Ibn Salih, that welcome to the righteous prophet and the son of the righteous. I said to Jibreel, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, who is this? And he said, this is Adam. This group that is to his right, this is the people, the Ahlul Yameen, the people to the right, the companions of the right, the people that will, Ahlul Jannah. These two are to his left, the group of people that are there. When he looks at them, that he's the one he looks at the right, he laughs, and when he looks at his left, he cries when he sees the people of Jahannam, because they're from his progeny, right? The whole of insan is they're Bani Adam, they're the children of Adam alayhi salam, they're from his children's children, and so forth till Qiyamah. But this hadith looks like, on the apparent, and this is the beauty, there's no contradictions in Islam. The Imams, some people, you'll see these in the professional hadiths of Islam, like some Orientalists, and they'll try to make a contradiction, but actually they can be, tatbiq can be made meaningfully, they can be put together, and that can be solved very easily. So somebody may raise, Imam Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali in his book, he raised but the ayat of Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا عَنْهَا لَا تُفَتَّحْ لَهُمْ أَبْوَابُ السَّمَاءِ, that the ones that deny our verses and they're arrogant, that the doors of the heavens will not be opened for them. In Surah Al-A'raf, ayat number 40, that the doors will not be opened. So this doesn't make, like it seems, but and there's other ayat as well. So how is this explained? So the Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali Rahimahullah, he explains that those souls are to the right and those to the left, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're physically next to them. We know that we read hadith that a window is open up in the qabr to Jannah, but you're not in Jannah. You can see the wind blows from Jannah. There's we're sitting here, right? And we can now make a video call to the other side of the world. It's not something strange. We've probably done it all ourselves. People are doing nikahs here. There's 3 phones. One's in the families in America, and the other one's in Bangladesh, and the other one's in like this, and they're all together. They're all together, part of the nikah. They're getting a window, snapshot into other side of the world. So Allah's qadir of everything. Allah allowed us to come up with these things. So more than that, Allah doesn't need things to make things happen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need any worldly things. So this is something not. So similarly also, there's another narration that elaborates on this, that where a door, the hadith actually mentions a door is open for Adam alayhi salam. and he sees his progeny where they are, and on the right, and another door is open up, and he sees it. So when he sees through that door, like similar to example I gave of the person in the grave, he sees a door into Jannah. This is your place where you're going to go. This is the place in Jahannam. This is a place that you missed out on, or vice versa. A person, this is your place in Jannah that you missed out on. This is a place in Jahannam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, that this is your place in Jahannam that you're going. So similarly also in this narration, it clarifies that, removes any ishkal, any conflict in this hadith. So it doesn't mean that he's literally, that the doors are, that those people are sitting, because it brings a contradiction. So if the souls are there as well, what does it mean that the souls are in the earth? This contradicts that the souls are in the heaven or they're in the earth. So, I mean, these are the details. Our Imams, they reconciled all these. So, in conclusion, he says that he said, Rasulullah Sallallahu in Salatul Kusuf, as we know in the hadith, the Rasulullah Sallallahu, the hadith is from the hadith, from many sahih hadiths that are there, the Rasulullah Sallallahu shows Jannah and Nar, paradise and hell. He was shown in Salat during the eclipse prayer. So it doesn't mean that Jahannam, because he saw it, doesn't mean that Jahannam and Jannah are physically in the earth, obviously. Allah showed him, gave him a vision, or he could see that. So he gives all these arguments for this view that the souls are with Adam alayhi salam is not, it doesn't match up with all the other narrations that they're in their graves. Then there's Ibn Hazm, a great Imam of the Zahiri school. Zahiri school is a school that is a defunct, or it's a school that died out. The Zahiriya, they were literalists. That's what it means, Zahir. They go by the Zahir. Everything's about the Zahir. So it was actually a legitimate school of Dawood al-Zahiri, Imam Dawood al-Zahiri, rahimahullah, one of the early Imams. But over time, you have Lays ibn Malik, he had his school, Imam Awza'i, they had their schools. Like the four madhabs are the only one that survived intact till our time. Either the other school, Ishaq bin Rahawayh, his school, his mazhab fiqh jurisprudence school, over time, the schools, they either got amalgamated into one of the four, or they over time they died out. So Ibn Hazm rahimahullah, he said this is not a view, and it's been countered by the Imams, Ibn Rajab picks at it and he said this is flawed, but he mentions it here for academic purposes. He mentions his view here, so there is this view. He said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the souls, all the souls, before he created the body, and he made them in the Barzakh, and he made the Barzakh, and this Barzakh is that stage is free from, this is his view, that is free from any of the material. So what generally, classically, philosophers, when they discuss things, everything's made from? Fire, earth, water, and what's the other one? Fire, water, air. So the four. So these were considered philosophically, everything is created from this. And over time, we learned that actually the table of elements is much more. And we learn, but even if we take that view, that whatever's on the table of elements, whatever's on the table, it's the periodic table. Nothing on that is in the grave. It's an interesting point. He said that whatever's on a periodic table is a physical thing that is in this world, in some shape or form, in gas, liquid, or solid, right? So it exists in this world, but it does. It has. He said that is no reality, and he goes, the body is created. Our body is made up of material, a physical body, but our soul is not. And he argues a very compelling point, although Ibn Rajab sort of dismantles it to a certain degree. So he created the body, and the soul is put into this body. And he goes that when the person dies, the soul is separated from the body. And he said that, then he gives an example that Rasulullah ﷺ, on the night journey, he traveled to the heavens, and he saw the people of good fortune, the people who succeeded, the people who failed, the people of shaqawat, of wretchedness. He saw them. And he goes, all of this, he's saying, that is disconnected from this material physical world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the souls of the Anbiya and Shuhada in Jannah. And then there's another Imam that gave, Ibn Rahawayh also gives a similar sort of argument. And then he says that upon this all the ulama agree, all the scholars of Islam agree. And he summarizes this. Ibn Rajab, who the author of the writer of the book, he summarizes view. He said this is a summary. This is a summary of what he said. But I don't know anybody else who said that all the Muslims agree on this. Only he said this. And he goes, how can it be the qawl, the opinion of all the Muslims? Because we just read all the different, he just explained all the different views. So he said, how can he make a claim that all the Muslims have this view? And he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw all those things, the fortunate souls, the unfortunate souls. He saw them above the heavens. So his point is at the end that this view is only specific to Ibn Hazm, that he has this view. No one else has actually tried to elaborate this. But there is an element of it's interesting how he was trying to approach it and trying to disconnect this world. In a way, it is disconnected, right? We know the Barzakh is a separate alam. How is it disconnected? Here's one answer. He said, no, that world has got nothing to do with this world. Absolutely, totally, according to him. But we know there is a connection. We know that the body actually experiences pain, and so the body still has a reality that is not the physical reality of this world. It's still experiencing punishments, as we read previously. So this was one of the final. There's a view. These are miscellaneous views. The Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal Rahimahullah, his son, said that he asked his father, "Does the soul die when the bodies die?" And this was mentioned previously. That this was a view that was held by many of the ulama from Andalus, from the Iberian Peninsula, from Islamic Spain, and many ulama, because the ayat al-Quran, kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Now this is, every janazah happens, every khutbah happens about janazah. We say kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. We just say, every soul shall taste death. Every soul shall taste death. Sometimes we don't know what we're saying. We're quoting the ayat. He goes, is it the body that's died, or is the soul also? So there was a view, but this has been rejected, that the soul continues and the ruh. And then there are many examples. He gives many ayat. Actually, Sahnun ibn Sa'id, one of the great Maliki ulama who wrote the Mudawwan, he basically codified the madhab of the school of thought, fiqh, of jurisprudence of Imam Malik rahimahullah. So he said, this is the view of the Ahlul Bidah, the people of Bidah, innovations. This is an incorrect view. And because there are ayat al-Quran that contradicts this view. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah Zumar 68, that when the trumpet is blown, right, and whoever is in the heavens and the earth, whoever's in the heavens, they'll faint, they'll be destroyed, and so forth, except for whoever He wants, whoever Allah wants. There's an exception. Right? There's an exception in this. That means that there will be souls that will not. So he said already, from ayat al-Quran, illa man sha'Allah, whoever Allah wants. There's already a contradiction there, and he argues against that. Finally, he says that the life of the Anbiya is the most complete life and is more complete than the Shuhada, that's for sure. And we know that, so if they're given a complete life, and we know that they're not given a death, and the Shuhada also, they don't die. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they don't die. So on this point, he refutes this view. But he mentioned it for academic purposes. These discussions are going on, and big ulama sometimes held these views. They're not the core things of Islam. I reiterate that again and again. It gives you details, and ulama spend their mind and their heart in trying to understand the reality. We're all going to go through it. We'll understand it when we go through it for sure. Inshallah, it's in a good way. Then there's an argument, discussion about what is the difference between the life of the Shuhada and other believers. And he said that there's two things. First thing, for the Shaheed, they're given the souls of Shuhada, bodies are created for them. And that is the birds that are in Jannah, and their souls is put into that. They're given another body, as opposed to everybody else. This is the first difference between Shaheed and everybody else. The second is that أَنَّهُمْ يُرْزَقُونَ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ, that they're given rizq from Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He provides rizq from Himself, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides rizq for them, they're given rizq, so they sustain, they fly in Jannah, not just fly in Jannah, they're not just in Jannah, but they're enjoying the fruits and the bounties of Jannah. There is a last point where it mentions about some of the philosophers. They went down this road as well. See, this is the thing, like, if you try and understand the ghaib, the unseen, you can only understand it from the one who sent the information about it. When you start mixing philosophy, Muslims, groups came out of this, sects came out of this because they try to, because the only way you're going to know the ghaib is what? Through wahi. There's no other way. There's no actual other way, which is from the Quran and what it came through Rasulullah. Both of them came through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Quran, we all know the hadiths, you have to sift through them, what is authentic, unauthentic, what's sahih, da'if, and so forth. And we have to give priority to the sahih hadith, which came through a reliable chain of narration. The philosophers, they try to figure out themselves. And there's Muslim philosophers in this as well. Then they try to fit the hadith according to and they grab any hadith that they can get, and with inauthentic chain narration. So for example, they grabbed a saying of Ibn Abbas, which has no, a saying of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, which doesn't have any source. So he said that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, it was attributed to him, but he didn't say this. Where are the souls when they separate? When he was asked the body, this is a narration which is not accepted. That he said, where is the lamp when it is extinguished? Where is the sight when the person goes blind? Where is the flesh of the body, the weight of the body when he becomes sick? And he said, and it doesn't sound like Ibn Abbas talking as well, radiallahu anhu. And he said, they said, to where? He said, that's like the souls. But this had narration, like, there's no basis for this. So what they try to do was that there's a soul is ard. So in philosophy, there's two things, ard and jawhar. Jawhar is the real thing. Like, you got a red book, right? The red is not the intrinsic thing, the essence of the thing. It's a we say in Urdu arzi, like something that is attached to it, but it's actually not part of the thing, right? So, but it only exists, the redness of the red book exists as long the book exists. But redness, that if the book doesn't exist, the red doesn't exist. If the book goes, the red also goes. And so you can have a so is the soul just life? When the thing is alive, the person is alive, life is attached to it. Is that what is a soul? So we say no. This is not something arbitrary. This is generally today the modern views as well, that the soul is something that it's got no reality. It's just chemicals in your brain and your heart pumping it. You're a sort of machine, and the machine stops running. Then that's the person has died. The life has stopped in the person. But we say no. There is another side to the person that Allah has created, which is mentioned in His book, which is the ruh, and that actually is the real person. This body is just a lifafa. It's an envelope. The real human being actually is the ruh. And when a person dies, not that it's just something like the red color. It's actually another part of the human being that has left it's another actual creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, I mentioned that at the end. To wrap it up, I'll mention what Ibn Qayyim Rahimahullah he said regarding this. And it's interesting. He summarizes like this. This is a big masala. Masalatun azima. Many people have spoken about this. Many have differed in it. And some have said that the souls of the believers are with Allah in Jannah, like the shuhada, or they're non-shuhada as well. But some people are stopped from, as we read previously, the beginning of this chapter, that they've been prevented from Jannah because of their sins or debts. If you have debts and major sin, this prevents them from entering the shuhada. Even they will not get the station in Jannah, in that reward that is given shuhada, if they have debts, others' rights are due upon them. And some are waiting to meet the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy. This is the view of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. This is the view of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu. Another group says that they're at the doorstep of Jannah, you can say the courtyard of Jannah, in front of Jannah. And they will receive the comfort and the breeze and the rizq from Jannah. Another group is the view the souls are at their graves, in the courtyard, or on top of their graves, or in their graves. Imam Malik says that the soul can go wherever it likes. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, in his narration from his son Abdullah, that the souls of the kuffar are in the fire and the souls of the believers are in Jannah. So there are aspects of this. Obviously, when there's so much ikhtilaf or something you cannot see, we accept the basic premise. There is a life beyond this life, number one. There's a life in between the hereafter and this dunya. There is azab, there is reward. In the details, in the detail, there are differences of opinion, disagreements. But it gives you like inshallah ta'ala, it gives you like a picture that it's more complicated than we might think. And trying to figure it out with our tools, something you have not seen or experienced, with our sight, with our hearing and so forth, of course is not possible. So all these narrations are put together. Imam Rajab, Allah reward him, fill his grave with nur, that he's tried to summarize it. But he said the discussion is actually much more. He's made shorten the hadith to only the parts that are needed for the discussion. But actually, what I just summarized now is like 15, 20 pages. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and tawfiq to practice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our graves a garden from the gardens of paradise, not a pit from the pits of hell. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairah.